Greetings. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. Um, what can I say? Welcome again. We're doing the new releases today for March 15th, the Ides of March 2024. I will try to make this as quick and painless as possible. I've got a lot to get to today. The releases are substantial, but I do want to run through upcoming new releases to let you guys know what's in the pipeline and the dates. And yeah, and I also have a little recommends at the end, which is part of my new releases. So let me get to it. All right. The first thing I want to mention today actually is a 7-inch, and it is the new Pearl Jam single. It is called Dark Matter, and the B-side is an instrumental version of Dark Matter, but this is coming out Friday, on March 15th, so in preview of the new album. So that will be available for purchase. I think the big new release thing of this week to kind of pay attention to is the new Black Crowes album, Happiness Bastards. This is their first album in 15 years. The brothers, Chris and Rich, patch things up enough to do things like tour and decided to make an album. It doesn't mean they have to like each other. They just wanted to make a record, which was in their best interest probably to do, and that's great. So that comes out Friday. If you like southern sort of roots rock and stuff like that, blues rock, there you go. It's been 15 years is a long time. I wonder if there's hope for the Gallaghers yet, or maybe the Davies brothers. I guess the Kinks are making a record. I don't know. This has been sort of talked about for a while, but anyway, moving along, we have a couple Blue Note reissues this week. Blue Note Classics, Miles Davis Volume 2. We had Volume 1 last year, so now you get to complete the set with, this is the one that features Horace Silver, Art Blakey, J.J. Johnson, and Percy Heath. Cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. You hear that name a lot in these videos. The other one is Donald Byrd's New Perspective. That's a really interesting record featuring band and voices, but it's features Donald Byrd on trumpet, Hank Mobley, Donald Best, Herbie Hancock, Kenny Burrell, Butch Warren, and Lex Humphreys. These are two super iconic Blue Note records. Both Kevin Gray did the work on them. Arrangements here by Duke Pearson too. Kevin also just makes good records sound even better. He really is a gift to the mastering world of vinyl. All right. Casey Musgraves, A Deeper Well. This sort of follows up her last record, Star-Crossed, which was kind of her divorce breakup album. This is a little more probably folky in a lot of ways, I guess, at least from the single. This is the indie exclusive Spilled Milk vinyl edition. So, Casey. Let's see, 21 Savage. This actually came out a month or two ago in streaming, and it's finally out physical, but it was the #1 album on Billboard the week it came out because of streaming. This features the hit singles Nina and Red Rum, and guest appearances include Travis Scott, Young Thug, Doja Cat, Burna Boy, Metro Boomin, and more. Yeah, popular dude, popular record. Tierra Whack. I have not heard her yet. I gotta check her out. I love this cover art. Kind of wacky, totally. And it's Worldwide Whack is the name of her album on exclusive Baby Blue vinyl. Tierra Whack. Cake return with another reissue, Pressure Chief. I think so now we have pretty much the imperial period of Cake records have been reissued, and this one 2004 featuring Wheels, No Phone, and Carbon Monoxide remastered audio. So Cake fans, complete your collection. The Dandy Warhols, a new record called Rockmaker, and this features guest appearances by Debbie Harry, Frank Black, and Slash. And this is on a limited edition color in color vinyl. And it says Danzig with Myself by them with featuring Frank Black. Danzig with Myself. Yeah. Courtney Taylor still going at it in that band. Joe Henderson, a jazz reissue, Power to the People. This is from Jazz Dispensary's Top Shelf series, and this says it features a Titanic rhythm section, including Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Jack DeJohnette, and Mike Lawrence. Lacquers cut by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio from the original master tapes, pressed at 180 gram at RTI. So great pressing plant, great mastering engineer, great artists. Herbie Hancock seems to be on a lot of reissues as well. Those Blue Notes were done at Optimal in Germany, and this one at RTI. So you're getting some of the best pressing plants in the world doing these jazz records again. Shelly Manne and His Men at the Black Hawk, Volume 1. This is a Contemporary Records acoustic sounds done by Craft Recordings. Bernie Grundman did the work on this. He did the original mastering of this. That's how old he is. This is mastered at QRP, Quality Records Pressing. Great pressing plant also. So that's part of the Contemporary series that started last year, maybe the year before. Maybe it's been out for about 2 years. Buddy Rich and Alla Rocca. Buddy is a famous jazz drummer, and Alla Rocca is a tabla player, Indian, and or maybe Pakistani, I'm not sure. But anyway, probably Indian. So, yeah, it looks very interesting. And also, Paul Horn plays the flute on here. So, different kind of record for jazz. And for Buddy, Nina Simone, Nina's Blues, or Nina's Back. This is, I think it's like maybe an 80s album. I'm not really sure. I didn't get to look it up, but it does feature one song, says synthesizer keyboards. But Arthur Adams on guitar, Ray Brown on trumpet, George Bohannon on trombone, the Waters family on backing vocals. This is kind of interesting. So a kind of record you don't really see from her very often. So I'm glad that they're doing that. A couple of jazz reissues that came out Record Store Day last year that are being released more widely now. Newport Rebels. This is Charles Mingus, Max Roach, Eric Dolphy, Roy Eldridge, and Joe Jones on the Candid label. That is being released as from the Newport Jazz Festival. And the other one is Charles Mingus, and this one's called Incarnations. And it says rare and unheard tracks from his legendary 1960 sessions, reincarnated as a new Mingus masterpiece, remastered by Bernie Grundman. I think both of these might be, actually. But anyway, Candid reissues. Great jazz stuff that needs to be around a lot. And a new Buddy Guy Junior Wells. This is sort of live at the Cotati Cabaret 1984. A double black vinyl edition featuring Hush Hush, Just a Little Bit, Dust My Broom, Sweet Home Chicago, Messing with the Kid, Got My Mojo Working. I think there was one from Junior and Buddy last week, actually. This is somehow aligned with Cleopatra Blues, so that's why you start seeing a lot of those things. Probably not a lot of restrictions on the licensing on those things. This is a very interesting release. Mark Knopfler's Guitar Heroes. This is Going Home, the theme from Local Hero, which is a Mark Knopfler piece of music. And it's basically just that song, and then the B-side is like an etching. And what this is basically the We Are the World for guitar players, only it's in benefit for a teenage cancer trust and research. This features a ton of people. Let's just name a few of them here. Oh, well, a lot. I'm not going to name everybody, but Joan Armatrading, Jeff Beck, Joe Bonamassa, Jonathan Cain, Paul Carrick, Eric Clapton, Ry Cooder, Dwayne Eddy, Guy Fletcher, Peter Frampton, Vince Gill, David Gilmour, Buddy Guy, Tony Iommi, Joan Jett, Albert Lee, Brian May, John McLaughlin, Orianthi, Nile Rodgers, Mike Rutherford, Joe Satriani, Slash, Bruce Springsteen, Ringo and Zach Starkey, Sting, Susan Tedeschi and Derek Trucks, Pete Townsend, Keith Urban, Steve Vai, Waddy Wachtel, Joe Louis Walker, Joe Walsh, Ronnie Wood. You get the idea. Not all of them were guitarists, but they're all featured on this record. So it's a benefit. So you can feel good about supporting cancer research for teenagers. Let's see. Another, well, this is kind of a strange record. The Shoo Shoo album, La Forêt. This is a sunset color vinyl back in print for the first time in 15 years. I would say Shoo Shoo are sort of a difficult listen at times, well, challenging. And so this record is not going to be for everybody at all because it's 15 years old, and it was a time when Shoo Shoo was really, really edgy. But, well, I don't know. They're still pretty edgy. They've never not been edgy. So anyway, Echo and the Bunnymen. This is Spare Us the Cutter live at Tiffany's, Glasgow, Scotland, 11th July 1983, an FM broadcast on the Dear Boss Records limited edition of 200 color vinyl. That is low. It's probably some sort of, like, since a radio broadcast, I don't know how official it is, but it features Silver, Porcupine, Over the Wall, Rescue, Killing Moon, The Cutter, Never Stop, and Do It Clean. So kind of prime era Echo. And another interesting sort of older reissue, Samson. And this is the album Head On, I think. And yeah, this features Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden fame back when he was called Bruce. He's the lead vocalist on this, and Paul Sampson is guitarist and vocalist. So this is on kind of a split splatter vinyl. Yeah, one pressing worldwide. 1980, the first studio album. So kind of early 80s rock. Okay. Let's see, there's a few CDs here to get to I wanted to kind of mention. If you're in the Philly area, Fish, Live at the Spectrum, 97. You might have gone to these shows, December 2nd and 3rd. New 6 CD box set featuring 2 classic and complete Fish shows, recorded live, mixed from the band's multi-tracks, mastered, and including the sound checks. So that's kind of a cool little package. It's not break the bank at about $34. Then a couple of other things. I didn't show the Justin Timberlake vinyl. It's on the way, but here's the CD. The new JT album. I'm trying to remember the name of this. Everything I Thought It Was. And I think there's a song with NSYNC on here. It's got 18 tracks on it. You think that's enough? I hope that, I mean, maybe each one is like a full song. The second song is called Effin' Up the Disco. That's great. Yeah, Paradise featuring NSYNC is track 17. So, and then Lettucey, she's a jazz singer. Her new album, Good Life. It's been a while since she had something else. So, this features Kenny Lattimore and Butcher Brown. All right. And then I guess I'll give my recommends, and then I will give you the new release rundown. So my recommend this week is actually a new release, and it's just really a recommend because it's something that I've kind of been waiting for years, and I'm sort of like weirdly probably not one of the many fans, but I think it's something that is worth talking about. So there's a band called Electribe 101, and this is their first and only really only album called Electribal Memories. This came out in 1990. British band featuring a German lead singer named Billy Ray Martin. She had a hit in the mid 90s as a solo artist called Your Loving Arms. That was pretty much a club hit in the US, but a pretty big pop hit in England also. Anyway, this record, she was a singer, sort of grew up in Hamburg, Germany. Her mother used to hang around the red light district and loved the Beatles and hung around with the Beatles and helped them like behind the scenes a little bit from what she says. And she was just entranced with music, listened to Aretha a lot as a kid, loved soul records. And when she moved to England, trying to sort of make it in the business, she originally sort of kind of got hooked up with S Express, Mark Moore, sang on a couple of big sort of acid house tracks for S Express in the late 80s. Hey Music Lover, she sort of sang the hook in that used like was it like a Bootsy Collins type riff or something? I don't remember, but anyway, and then she found these guys in Birmingham, England, that she put out some sort of a ad in the newspaper and said, I would love to front a group if there's anyone who's into like electronic music that would be interested. And these pretty talented guys who were kind of house music keyboard players and a little jazzy, they got together with her and they recorded this album, got signed to Mercury Phonogram pretty quickly off of the hit, what became a sort of a top 40 hit there, Talking with Myself. And it's very like of the time. It's sort of, I don't want to say it's dated because I think that's not really fair, but it's sort of definitely soul music with a dance beat of that era. More dancey version of like Massive Attack without the rap, or so if you like the early Massive Attack song that Sharon Elson sang, Unfinished Sympathy, kind of in that realm, or probably like Lisa Stansfield, but maybe a little more underground and darker and a little less pop perhaps. But anyway, they actually opened a tour for Depeche Mode across Europe that summer and got bottled off the stage, not necessarily because they were bad, but because the fans were so rabid at the time, all they wanted to hear was Depeche Mode. It's kind of like when Prince went on before the Rolling Stones, and Rolling Stones fans just couldn't fathom why would they put Prince on before that. So, but this is their debut album. For years she was trying to get this reissued, and she said Universal owned the rights, there was no interest in it. And then a couple years ago she had the tapes for what was the second album. They did a second album for the label, turned it in, and the head of the label took one listen to it and said, "What is this soul shit?" And like they basically their contract was canceled, and so she still had the tapes, and then some of those she took and then gave them to a Baltimore DJ, Brian Transow, when she got BT, when she got a new record deal, and he kind of reworked a lot of them, and then they did a few more songs, and she put out her big solo album, which was, I mean, I liked it. It was a really big hit in like club world, but it didn't really get much far out of that. But she has a really interesting voice, and then after that she did an album with like Ann Peebles and Memphis, and it didn't really go anywhere, but it was very interesting music. I think she's just one of those great kind of like there's a lot of talented singers out there that just never really make it huge. Now this album did have two top 40 hits in England with Talking with Myself and Tell Me When the Fever Ended, which are both pretty great dance songs, and they're sort of like very understated kind of songs, except for her vocal really sort of stands out. Um, and so anyway, and then they were dropped, and then those songs she took and gave them. I think she managed to find a way. Someone was interested in reissuing that as like what would have been the second Electribe album. And one of the guys had passed away. Nobody was really interested in reissuing them. So she gave it to him. And then it actually last year was released, or 2022 maybe. It became kind of a underground, I think it was early 23, it became a little bit of an underground indie hit in a way. So it ignited enough interest that the main label was Universal was willing to sort of license this out. Well, I think actually Mercury Demon did this, so but license this out to actually repress it. There's also a 4 CD box set of this that has like extended versions of songs and a couple other bonus things, but it's cool seeing it on vinyl again. I love the cover artwork. They had all of the original, she still had all of the original photographs stored in like a desk drawer or something. So somehow somebody was able to record, source all the original artwork. So, and it's half speed mastered at Air, which is a very good mastering studio. So, all right. Enough of my recommends for the week. That is Electribe 101. I don't think I said the name of the album is Electribal Memories. So if you're into soul music, if you're into British music, even though she's technically German, I would, and early 90s, like sort of late 80s, early 90s, check that out. Okay. Support an artist that needs it. She's actually working on like 4 albums now. One of them is about Hamburg's red light district. One of them is about music, some kind of like French Parisian sort of life thing going on. I don't know. You read about it on the internet. there's many links to that. So, but I don't know if any of them are technically sort of dance records anymore. She's sort of branched out. Okay. New releases, upcoming new releases. Well, y'all know that 420 is Record Store Day, and that's a big deal. So mark your calendar, Stoner Holiday, if you haven't. And let me go through some of the new releases that are coming up before and just after, so you have kind of an idea of what else is coming. Next week, March 22nd, big sort of reissue from Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. See, I'm losing my voice. Jar of Flies, that's an EP. It's been out of print for like 5 years. And that actually is something that I think I've had more requests for in the last couple weeks than probably anything but maybe Pearl Jam for Record Store Day. I don't know. It's been a lot of people asking for that. So I think that's going to be popular. Other things coming out next week, Waxahachie, her new record. We are doing a listening party for that in the store the night before, March 21st at 5 p.m. Just going to play the record once. I think there will be some posters to give away and also maybe a test pressing, sort of like a drawing for that. But I don't really know yet because they haven't actually sent me anything, so I can't really tell you specifically what. But closer, I'll let you know. Other albums, Adrienne Lenker from Big Thief, her new solo record. Her last one was great and did very well. This one's shaping up to be great too. New Gary Clark Jr., if you're into the blues thing. Elbow, their new album, which their new song sounds very energetic for Elbow, so it'll be interesting to hear where they go. Sierra Farrell, sort of Americana stuff. Andre 3000, his flute album, finally gets a physical release. That's been bumped several times, so knock on wood, it still happens. New Jesus and Mary Chain record, their first in quite a long time. The Cure are reissuing their Paris live album. Don't ask me when the new Cure is coming out. We still don't know. Still. Wham are reissuing their first two albums, or the label are. It's fantastic and make it big. Let's see. Alice Coltrane, a live album, live at Carnegie Hall, comes out that day. That's an unreleased album. Julia Holter, kind of an interesting, artsy singer songwriter. Zach Brown has some sort of covers record coming out. I think it's covers. Christian McBride and Edgar Meyer doing a sort of jazz album duo. Guided by Voices, him, Empress of, and Kenny Chesney are all the 22nd. So the 29th, let's see. Well, originally, I think at the Super Bowl, Beyonce said this was coming out March 15th, but it's actually, it might be streaming on the 15th. I don't know, but it looks like the physical versions of her country album, Carter Country, are coming on the 29th of March. Interesting that it's right on Easter weekend. Um, but yeah, that's very highly anticipated because Texas Hold'em is such a big hit. Other things that day, Sonny Rollins has a Tone Poet, a deluxe expanded Tone Poet pressing that day. A couple of British bands, Ride and the Libertines, are putting out new records. They've been around for almost 30 years, both of them. I think the Libertines 20, 25, I don't know, something like that. Sum 41, their new album that day. Sheryl Crow, Sarah Shook, The Secret Sisters, Chicano Batman, and The Gossip, which I think The Gossip looks like those might be import pressings. I don't know because they're more popular in general in the UK than they are in the US. So even though they're an American band, they might make those records and CDs overseas and bring them back. I don't know what the label does when it comes to stuff like that. And Deep Purple, Machine Head, there's going to be a deluxe reissue of that. So that's all the 29th of March. Then moving to April. The first week of April, there's some pretty big releases. April 5th. Black Keys, Vampire Weekend, Khruangbin, and Marcus King. Those are like the four sort of like, oh, those are going to bring some people in. It's been a long time for Vampire Weekend again, like 5, 6 years, something like that. Phosphorescent, been a long time. They have a new record that day too. Billy Joel is releasing the live record that came out on Record Store Day like 3 years ago. It's going to get a wide release. A couple of Tone Poets that day from Horace Silver and Anthony Williams. There were also albums that day from Old 97s, The Used, Freddie Gibbs, Maggie Rose, the Pernice Brothers, Low Moon, Tori Kelly, and Conan Gray. March 12th, this is sort of a lighter week, I think, because we have so much coming in with Record Store Day ramping up at that time. But the 12th, we get the new Mark Knopfler, the new Maggie Rogers, which sounds like it's going to be really popular. Linkin Park, the new Girl in Red. I should say the Linkin Park is a greatest hits. New Girl in Red, James have a new record. The Eagles Essential Collection, which is some big Eagles reissue. Days of the New, the third album, finally gets a vinyl release, and then that's pretty much done for them, I think. Fortet, The Feeling, Liz Wright, Kirk Fletcher, and the new Blue Oyster Cult. And then moving to the 19th, which is Record Store Day weekend. Well, obviously the Taylor Swift album comes out on the 19th. We still don't know, is there going to be a Record Store Day version of this? We haven't even been able to pre-order it yet. So She's keeping us hanging until the last minute. But like Beyonce, we haven't gotten to pre-order that yet either, and that comes out in supposedly 2 weeks. So go figure. Also on the 19th, new Pearl Jam, which is also getting a record store day release on the 20th in a different variant. So if you're into the color vinyl or whatever, you may have to come back the next day, or you may just wait till that day. I don't know. Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd. That's a special pressing of that. They've done now a 2 record set of it, pressed the music on one side of each record, and they're clear records with this cool sort of artwork on them. And then the other sides are not, there's no music printed on it. Now, they say, well, maybe this is better for audio fidelity because you don't ever flip the record over so it doesn't pick up the dust from your mat, your turntable mat. Okay. um, I guess so, but I mean, it looks cool. If you're a Pink Floyd collector, you're gonna want that. Bruce Springsteen has a new best of that day. There are a couple of Blue Note classics from Herbie Hancock and Bobby Hutcherson. There's a new album from the Melvins and a new T-Bone Burnett. Those are the 19th. Now, the 20th, uh, it looks like there are now 3 Bill Evans albums coming out on the 20th, and they're part of those Zev Feldman releases that have the big, every record store day recently has had them with the big block letters and the kind of like dark picture of him at the piano. It's like a series, and there's 3 of them. So I think that they were wanting to put those out so they would not be like limited pressings. They could make them later, but they have the same release date. So technically, they're kind of record store day releases without being on a list. Uh, that's as far as I can tell, anyway. And then the other thing is the Neil Young album, the new one with Crazy Horse, comes out technically on April 26th, but there's a special record store day version that comes out 6 days earlier. So the 20th, there's a lot of stuff coming out that day that's like exclusive to that day, exclusive color pressing. What you all know, if you've been to record store day now, you know the deal. It's just, it's crazy, but it's a very controlled crazy. We do very like controlled here. You're sort of in a line. Everything is sort of alphabetical. Try to make it make sense. And we do want, there. I think there are some places that will keep the records at the counter. You basically give them your list and say, "This is what I want," and then they pull them for you. Um, I think the issue with that, there's a couple of things. One, yes, it might make your line go a little faster, I suppose, but the negatives would be you don't get to necessarily know exactly what you're paying for things. I mean, it can say something on like, here's your recommended price, on the internet, but then it might be something totally different when you get to the store. So, just to alleviate a surprise, I don't really like that. The other thing is, I think it's good to be able to actually see the record, because a lot of times when you see something in person, 9 times out of 10, it looks a lot better in person than it does in a little like image on a screen on your phone or whatever. There is 1 time out of 10 it doesn't look as good maybe to you or whatever. So, you run that risk too. But I think people generally like to see their stuff. And since we're kind of hopefully past the point where we are not so afraid to touch things for fear of spreading illness, I think that that's, and it's still good to bring your hand sanitizer and use that before and after and whatever. But and we will still have that. But I do say, like, I think that it's more fun to actually see the records and um, before you make the choice. All right. So I mentioned the 19th. I mentioned the 20th record store day. The 26th of April. That week is a smaller week, but there is a new St. Vincent that day. There's a new Iron and Wine that day. And if you haven't heard his duet with Fiona Apple, go listen to it. It's amazing. I mean, it's one of those songs that's going to be like Played at so many weddings. It's a really great song. A new Pet Shop Boys that day, and a new Justice that day, which both of their singles that they've been putting out have been really good so far. May 3rd, we just got word new Dua Lipa is May 3rd. Also, the new Kamasi Washington. If you're into jazz, it's been a long time. But another 6, 7 years since Kamasi put something out. That's coming out May 3rd. New Lemon Twigs already May 3rd, and a couple of singles from that have been great. If you're into like 70s FM kind of stuff, uh, that Todd Rundgren sound, I suppose. Camera Obscura, their first album in it's almost a decade, probably. I mean, they lost a member. It was a Carrie that passed away. Uh, so we didn't even think they were going to move on at any point in time, and here it's finally happening. A new Jessica Pratt album and a new Sia record. There's a duet with Kylie Minogue out there floating around to stream. So those are on May 3rd. May 10th, New Kings of Leon. I'm sure there will be more things filling in there. May 17th, Cage the Elephant. New Avett Brothers, new 21 Pilots, and Beth Gibbons. Beth Gibbons, the lead singer of Portishead, with an actual solo record. It's been 15 years since Portishead put out an album, and she did that one where she sang Goreski, sort of classical music. So looking forward to that. May 24th, new Dive, Wallows, uh, Lenny Kravitz and Kim Ritchie. And then the 31st, new Bat for Lashes, Crowded House, and Maya Hawke. And some things to look forward to in the summer, too. New Lake Street Dive, new Cigarettes After Sex, new Charlie XCX, new Lana Del Rey, and new Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Wild God. That song is incredible. That comes out in August, and that's something to really look forward to. And is The Cure ever going to release their record? Maybe the summer would be a good time to put that out, since their tour ended like months ago. I just don't know what's going on there. All right. If Peter Gabriel can do it, Robert, you can too. All right, thanks. Thanks for watching, guys. This is getting to be a long video, and I actually had to do it twice because UPS showed up and interrupted me the first time. And you know me, I don't do editing, so I just had to stop it and start over. So that's probably why I'm losing my voice. I had an extra half hour of talking. So, all right. Thanks. Have a great day. Peace. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. I mean, I guess if you're in the Rockies, you're getting a lot of snow. But out here on the East Coast, it's like 65, 70, 75 degrees. I mean, early spring. So we're sort of lucky, I guess. But Ides of March. Beware. Peace. Take care. See you guys next week. Bye.